All right, welcome to the Brad and Kyle channel. We have a fun video for you today. I've got 3 balls up here and a 41-foot pattern, and I'm gonna bowl a full game. And during this game, I'm gonna tell you guys the ins and outs of what I'm thinking per individual shot to get me to the score that I'm gonna get to. The arsenal that we have is, and the ball that I'm probably gonna throw is a clone, a Roto-Grip clone. The other 2 is a Summit, and then we got a weak ball down here is the Zen Gold Label. And that's a nice little 3-ball arsenal because we have a relatively strong asymmetric ball, we have a strong submetric ball, and then we actually got one down on the end that just in case these end up being too strong, we've got a cleaner cover and a smoother bowling ball. So 41 foot, I've thrown a couple practice shots on it, and it's, 41 feet and longer is kind of that barrier to where you're gonna wanna play the middle part of the lane. And when you look at a pattern, you're trying to look for, well, where's the room? Where can I miss? And the shorter the pattern, oftentimes that's right. And the longer the pattern, oftentimes that's in the middle of the lane, the slide, the shim. This pattern has that. It's a little slick, and when I get it going to the right, or if I miss it off my hand, it likes to stay there, okay? So there's a good chance I do that in this video, and you guys can see, and then I'll talk about what kind of transitions I make to eliminate that, okay? All right, so frame 1, I'm gonna hit around 16, 17 at the arrows, out to about 10. If I get it farther than 10, it's probably gonna stay there. If I get slow with it, it's probably gonna overhook. So there's a little bit of precision that needs to be had. Here we go. All right, so I decided to choose the asymmetric strong ball over the symmetric strong ball because I was actually getting fairly similar reads. I saw that if I got a little too slow with either one of them, they would overhook. And at that point, that tells me I just need to make sure I'm aggressive and get through it. And at that point, I'm just gonna take the strong ball and get as much ball as I possibly can. So good first shot. And then when it rolls like that, I'm just gonna try and repeat it. I'm not gonna try and do anything different. Okay, and now actually, that wasn't quite repeated. I actually felt like I didn't get that ball into a roll as early, like off my hand. Just a little weak and a little push instead of a roll off the hand. But that's why we choose the stronger ball, because on a pattern that doesn't necessarily allow you to miss long, you take a ball that doesn't want to miss long, it wants to hook, and it'll play against that pattern a little bit. So that tells me right there that we have a little bit of room. That should make us feel comfortable, and we're just gonna keep rolling. You kind of see I got that one out just a little bit farther and allowed it just to create a little bit more shape. Now, I'm lucky that on the second shot, it was actually a little bit in because I missed it a hair. If I would have used that angle and missed it, it would have kept going. But again, that's why we love this strong of a ball on this kind of pattern, because it gives you a little bit of room. But we got a turkey. That's exciting. So again, not much transition has happened. We are just gonna try and keep throwing similar zones. Okay, and that one was actually a little bit more like the second one, where it was just a little left and a little long. It didn't actually get out and provide a little bit more shape, but that's okay. When I watch the best bowlers in the world, they at times are definitely the most accurate. They can do that game by game, but they're also always looking for room. That way they can stay comfortable. So right now, we're doing it about as good as we can possibly do it. We're in the right part of the lane. We are happy with our ball choice. We're just gonna keep going. That was way left. All right. So sometimes when a ball hooks like that, generally when you have a couple shots one way and a couple shots just a little bit down the lane, that's when some rougher shots can creep in. So that was just a poor attempt. Probably just got quick here, got my shoulder in. And so on this next shot, I'm just gonna make sure it's a little bit more free flowed. And cause I know, if it's that far left, my elbow and shoulder had to have kept it that far left. So this next one, I'm gonna keep the shoulder back a little bit, a little quieter, and it should allow for that space to the right, but I'm gonna shoot the spare. Please get 2. All right, spares, everyone. Make your spares. All right, so we're through 5 frames. Really, really good start. I haven't executed all of them 100%, but we have a 4-bagger and then a spare. Now, that bad shot for a lot of people, me included, that can get you thinking that, here we go, I got another bad shot, or here's the downtrend. But really, it's important just to keep it simple. You got a 4-bagger, you got a good look, you got the right ball, throwing it good enough to have a little bit of room. We have a lot of great things going for us. All we're doing now is just keeping this shoulder quiet. Frame 6, quiet shoulder, should give us a little bit more room. All right, and so that one got quite a bit farther to the right, but at the same time, that is what we wanted. Definitely wanted to give it a little bit more room than the last one, and keeping the shoulder back and quiet was a good thing. It allowed us to get the ball a little bit further right. We also know now that when we do that, we can actually get it to come back. It's also a beautiful thing of throwing a stronger bowling ball. I'm going to attempt a spare with a clone. All right. I can't preach spares and then go off and miss them. But okay, so now we have 2 spares in a row. We still got a good game going. If we end up striking out, we got 260. But now, after 6 frames, we have a good vision of the lane. We've thrown it in, we've thrown it out, we've thrown it good, we've thrown it pretty good. And so at this point, you know, there really shouldn't be any reason why I don't bowl pretty well the next several frames, because we have already just such a good vision of the lane. It really just comes down to execution. So all the other pillars of just knowing what to do, we got those. Now we just need to execute. All right, so we're gonna do that same thing, shoulder back. Oh boy. All right, so we didn't execute that one very well. I kept my shoulder back, but still must have been a little slow and a little grabby. So, you know, not as sharp as the first 4, but still, we're doing just fine. So we got a 3-6-10 spare, not the easiest spare, but again, you know, even though we've got a couple iffy shots, we still got a good game out there. Important spare right here. Got to keep the game clean. And I hope it does. Yes. All right, spare the 3-6-10. And we're clean. We're through 7 frames. 7 frames, 4 strikes, 3 spares. And now we just need to make sure that we execute correctly. We've got a couple yanks, and then we got a couple one that was close, but you know, one got a little wide. So we haven't thrown them like the first 4. So we need to do our best to envision what that felt like and get back in there. So we're gonna keep this shoulder quiet. And we're just gonna really make sure that this one tries to get online. I'm gonna focus on my target a little harder. All right, so that was better. All right, so now on that one, you know, a lot of times if you feel like you throw it okay, like that last 3-6-10, it felt okay, but obviously it was way left. A lot of times that's just, you know, a lot of muscle in the upper body movement. When you want to make sure that you get through it, you just focus on the legs a little bit more. So the first 4, I used my legs fairly well. Obviously the ball reaction was there. And then the next 4, I probably just got a little handsy, a little grabby, and so we don't want to do that. So now we're back on it. Still got a good game going, and now we know shoulder back, use our legs, we're gonna execute. Oh, that was way right. Well, I told you that was gonna happen. All right, so a little iffy, a little shaky, but that's okay. You know, when the execution wasn't necessarily there, so if you don't have a bad game, it wasn't my best. However, we haven't split. I got that one way wide, and it actually came back, so good job on picking the right ball, good job on playing the right part of the lane. You know, and just kind of like talking yourself through the things that you're doing well, even if your execution might not be there the whole time. So we're just gonna, well, I don't wanna hook at this. I don't wanna play. We're gonna spare this. Oh, that's gonna hook too much. All right, don't hook at that. There's just a camera right there, and you know, but we're clean. So we are now going up in the 10th frame. We have a chance to shoot 230, fresh pattern, 41-foot sports shot. So even though it hasn't been my best execution, we've got all the other variables correct. It's given me some room, it's allowed me not to split, and now we have a pretty good opportunity. We have a good vision of the lane. All of that is working in our favor. We're just gonna try and do our best here. All right, so got a little lucky there, but we did get it a little bit more online. I didn't get it as far right, and I wanted to use my legs just to try and keep it online and it not overhook. And that worked. It almost overhooked. It was a little bit too far left, but the fact that we used our legs, kept it online just long enough. Trip 4, we got a good break. So now we still got 230. We got one more shot here to get to the 230 number. Great game on what we're bowling on. So I'm actually gonna move a 3 and 2 left here and kind of move off that last one and see if we can't go flush. There we go. So I think there was maybe a touch of transition, not much. It's only me, not a super high rev guy, but as I was bowling through the game, I got a little bit more comfortable seeing it just a little bit more open angle like that last one. So a 3 and 2 move kind of allowed me to get it a little bit farther out to the right. So now that was a pretty good game. On fill balls though, you can decide, if you're in a tournament or a league, you can decide what you want to do. You can either go all 10, and that's Jason Belmonte's thought is, if you're bowling a tournament and you change balls in your fill ball just to see what other balls are doing, and you get 7 and you miss the cut by 1 pin, that's on that shot. And so Belmo rarely changes balls in his fills. He usually goes for the strike. However, just for the sake of the video, I'm going to take this opportunity to try and see what my summit would do now that we've moved a little bit 3 and 2, and now that there's a little bit of transition on the lane. And this would be good for setting up the next game, setting up future games of just figuring out what your balls are doing. But we're in the 230s, we're happy. Okay, so that one also rolled really good as well. And you can kind of see that. A little bit of similarities between those two. They're both strong, they both read the mid lane. However, the asymmetry in the clone gives it a little bit of a different shape, kind of makes me feel a little easier on being aggressive. I know it's gonna pick up. But fill ball, with that being said, you know, I'm definitely gonna give that Summit a look moving forward just because, hey, it rolled really good. So 234 is what I bowled, and I'm happy I bowled a game like this because that's actually an issue that I have. And when I look back at that exact game, you know, the first 4 shots were good enough to strike, but honestly, you know, they can be a little sharper. You know, you can get your hand to come off the ball just a little better those first 4. And when you can do that, when you're really dialed in, those next misses that I had, they're less misses. And just like the first shot in the 10th frame, I tripped that 4-9. When you execute better, you don't miss as much. And sometimes these misses that are 7 counts become strikes, a trip 4-9, something like that. So even though it was a pretty good game, I know that, hey, you know, it wasn't really coming off my hand exactly the way I wanted it to. It caused me a couple issues. So when I practice and moving forward, I'm really gonna dial in on my focus and just make sure that it's coming off my hand the right way. But that's bowling. You know, the best bowlers in the world, they miss the least. They figure out a way to make the least amount of mistakes. And when they are making mistakes, they figure out their way around them and they just do it really well and they stay clean and they make sure they get their 200s like I did right there. So I hope you guys liked that video, a little in-game commentary by me. Bowling's a hard game. It's a game of struggle. So that's why we love it. And I appreciate you guys watching the video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe and we'll see you later.